the boat pose, so near the end. So let's begin by lying on our backs. We'll get a little bit of a centering in, so connecting with our breath here and just unwinding from our day. So finding a nice comfortable spot for your head, taking some nice deep breaths in and out. With each breath, just feeling yourself let go a little bit deeper into your mat, noticing where you might be holding tension. Some of us, if we're practicing this at the end of the day, you might feel that tension in the shoulders, the tops of the shoulders, the shoulder blades, the front of the chest, if you're bent over on the computer or working. So just see if you can release that whole upper part of your body to the floor. Nice deep breaths, letting go of anything that happened so far in your day. And just giving yourself that permission to be here for the next hour. Letting go of any thoughts of anything else you need to do after your class. And then just continuing to let the lower back relax. Relax the glutes, relax down your legs to your heels, your feet and toes. Continuing to watch or be observant of the breath. Observing it coming in and out. And as you pay attention to the breath, notice what's happening in your body. Can you feel the chest expand, the rib cage expand? Do you feel your belly rise and fall? Can you feel the breath as it passes in and out through the nose? And also observe what's going on in your body. Are you feeling any tension, or do you feel like you're holding on to some tightness or tension in your body? See if you can let that go with your breath. And as we move through this peak pose practice, we'll think about what the boat represents in observation. So being observant in our movements, when we come into our poses, observing what's happening in our bodies physically. What are we thinking about when we're in a pose? What's going on as we're practicing, observing what's going on, what's happening. Remember that observing or being in a state of observation doesn't mean you have to change anything. You're just noticing what's happening. Take another few deep breaths. And then just start to maybe bring your legs together and bring your arms together up overhead, reaching nice and long and tall. Maybe pointing your toes, reaching away with your fingertips, stretching from the navel to the toes, navel to fingertips. And maybe flexing your feet, reaching away with the heels, spreading apart the fingers. And then relax, let your arms relax, your legs relax. Slowly bringing your arms back down along the side of the body. And then bringing the arms up to the ceiling, setting the shoulders down onto the floor. And then reaching up with the fingers, lifting the shoulder blades off the mat, and then lowering them back down. And one more time, reaching up, lifting the shoulder blades off, and then lowering back down. Bend the elbows, place your hands back down alongside of you. Bend both of your knees to bring the feet to the mat. Take your feet, walk them out to the outer edges of the mat. So nice and wide, but not necessarily too wide. Just feel a bit of the mat, the outer edge of the mat underneath your feet. Press your feet into the floor, flatten that low back, squeeze the glutes, just lift up a few inches. So a very wide bridge pose, and then slowly lower. So we're not coming up into full bridge, we're just coming up into a little bit of a bridge. You might feel a bit more of the hamstrings in this position, and lower. And you might feel a little bit more of the outer glutes, or the glute med and glute min in this position, and lower. Just do one more. Press into the feet, flatten the low back, squeeze the glutes, and lift a few inches. And then release back down. Heel toe your feet back together and let the soles of the feet touch and the knees drop out without arching the back. So just coming into a reclined butterfly. Relaxing into the hips, letting gravity do a little bit of that stretch for you. Relax the shoulders. Maybe turn the palms up, relaxing the shoulder blades a bit more towards the mat. Feel a nice gentle stretch in the inner thighs. Observing, how does your body feel? Where are your thoughts? What does your breath feel like? Are you breathing? And then slowly start to draw the knees up. Let's bring one knee and then the other knee in towards the chest. So grabbing below the shins or on the hamstrings in the back of the legs. And then just move a little side to side, giving your whole back a nice little rocking motion. Keeping your hands on top of the knees, make a circle with the knees like you're drawing a circle on the ceiling. And then do the other direction. And then keep the left knee hugged in and grab behind the hamstring or just gently with your fingers behind the knee. And then stretch the right leg out, place it back onto the ground. Circle the left ankle a few times. And then switch direction, circling it in the other direction. Take your right hand across the left knee, draw that leg across to the right. So stretching the left glute and piriformis. And just relax as best as you can. Take some deep breaths here. Observe what's happening in your body. Where do you feel this? What's going on? How do you feel? Then draw the knee back to the center. Take your left hand, wrap that around the knee, and open that leg, your left leg, out to the left. Try to relax the right leg. Take a breath or two here. And then slowly come back to the center. Give that leg one more little bit of a hug. Take your hands back behind the knee again, or just below the knee on the hamstring. Flex the foot, reach up to the ceiling with the heel. Move the foot side to side. Reach up to the ceiling with the heel one more time. Draw the leg in and out, so away from the body and towards the body. So just moving the leg from the hip. And then bend that knee back in. Take the left hand and grab the inside of the arch of the foot, coming into a half happy baby. Relax the elbow and the shoulder. Let the fingertips press into the foot and the foot press into the fingertips. And then release that. Bring the knee back into the chest. Give it one more hug. Now bring the right knee in. Make the circles again. So hands on the knees, circling the knees up to the ceiling. And other direction. And then grab the back of the left knee, right leg, and straighten the left knee out. And then just take the left hand onto the right knee, draw the right knee across to the left. Just try to relax in the stretch. Come back up to the center. Take the right hand across the knee, open the leg out to the right. It's kind of like a half butterfly. And then back to the center. Hug below the knee and the hamstring. Reach up to the ceiling with the heel. Foot is flexed, and then move the ankle side to side. Stretch the heel up to the ceiling. Nice deep breath. And then just gently move the leg in and out from the hip, towards the body, away from the body. Slowly bend the knee, bring it back to the center. And then take the right hand and grab the inside of the left foot under the arch. Half a happy baby pose. Just stretching out the inner groin and hip flexor. And then release that. Bring both knees in towards the chest. Take both hands and come into a full happy baby. See if you can relax the shoulders and elbows. Press the feet into the hands or the fingers into the sole of the foot. The low back stays flat on the floor. Take a nice deep breath. Now bring the heels together and then bring the knees together and just hug both hands underneath the knees and move a little side to side. And then cross the ankles, and if you can, hold on to the tops of the feet. So you can start by rocking a little side to side, just getting a different perspective on a little rock. And then if you just tuck your chin, you can rock a little bit forward and backward. And maybe you can rock all the way up and come up to a seat. And if you can't, just take your time, come up to a seat. Grab your cushion or your blanket, whatever you're using to sit the hips up on, and come into a comfortable seated pose. Take a moment, just settle in, again, connecting with your breath and just observing how you're feeling at this moment. And then from here, we're going to come into a simple twist. So just a seated twist, spinning to the right, looking over the shoulder, nice tall spine. And then relax the opposite hip. Relax the waist. Feel the twist in the mid back, all the way up to the neck. And just take a few breaths here. And then release that. Let your head come to the front first. And then spin to the other side. And see how this side feels. Maybe it's a little tighter or a little more difficult, or maybe it's easier. Relax the opposite hip. And just take a few breaths. And release, come back to the front. Extend the right leg, the left leg, grab the right leg. We're going to take the left hand on the right foot, the right hand on the knee, and we're going to just do some leg cradles. So some of you might be a little more flexible. You might be able to take that foot into your elbow, or you might be able to wrap it around. Doesn't matter, just as long as you get that side to side movement with the leg cradle. So a little bit of pre-prep for our boat pose. We're just going to take our hand, same hand, right hand, and just maybe reach out. You can have a bend in your knee. You don't have to have that knee straight. I always like a little bend no matter what. And just give yourself a stretch. I actually like this to stretch my shoulders more so than my leg. And just move that leg around. Maybe bend the knee, bring it in, bring it out. And then release. Then take the opposite, the left leg, and give that a little cradle. Rocking side to side, really working the hip joints. Good, nice. And then take that same hand, left hand on the inside, and just work the leg out and observe. This side might be different. It might be easier. It might be more difficult. It might be better. It might be struggling. It might be easy. Move the leg around. You can bend the knee. Try it in different directions. And let that go. Give the leg a little bit of a shake. Good. And then from here, let's come into a tabletop position. So on your hands and knees, or you can always do cat-cow seated if you choose to. Make sure you've got that space between your knees. Make sure you can feel, especially the pad of the thumb and the index finger in the mat. And your back is nice and flat. And then exhaling, come into cat pose, and inhale, move into cow. And just start to move to your own breath and your own rhythm, starting to feel the back of the spine loosen. And again, observing how that feels. What's going on in the back, your neck, your low back, your mid back. Are you able to coordinate the breath and the movement? And then just come back into neutral spine. So make sure that you're not arching the low back and sinking down, but you have a nice neutral spine. Inhale, let's lift up the right arm, reach it through, thread the needle. Inhale, reach up. Exhale, reach through. Inhale, reach up. Exhale, we're going to reach through and stay here. So see if you can get comfortable, maybe bringing your chin or your cheek to the mat. You can let your opposite hand slide out a bit and just feel that stretch in the back of the shoulder. And then press in, reposition your hands. Let's lift that arm up one more time and back to neutral. Let's take that right hand, bring the fingertips towards you and just move a little bit back and forward. If your fingers don't come towards your body, you can take them out to the side of the mat and just sway a little side to side, just to stretch the wrist and the back of the forearm. So see whatever movement feels good. And then let's do the other arm. Bringing the fingertips towards you or towards the side of the mat. And release. And then inhale, let's reach that arm up. Exhale through. Inhale up. Exhale through. Last one, inhale up. Exhale and just hang out. Maybe bringing your cheek to the mat, seeing how this feels, observing. And release, recenter, and reach up one more time. Beautiful. Tuck the toes. Okay, we're just going to do a little bit of core work here. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to press into the hands, press into the toes, lift the knees, hold 2, 3, 4, 5, and back down. Take a nice breath in and out. Good. Now bring that belly button back towards the spine. And then press into the toes, lift the knees, 2, 3, 4, 5, and back down. Take a nice deep breath. And one more time, bring that belly button back, exhale, lift, 2, 3, 4, 5, and back down. Take the tops of the feet to the mat. And then let's come into a cat and into a cow. Slide the hands out towards the top of the mat. Tuck the toes. Let your head drop down towards the mat. Leave the forearms off the mat if you can. And just come into melting heart. So feel a nice opening in the front of the chest.
Shoulder blades reaching towards each other. And then just press into the hands, lift the head between the arms, slide the hands back underneath the shoulders. Take the tops of the feet down to the mat. And then let's come into bird dog. So let's stretch the right leg, left arm. Hold 2, 3, 4, 5. Release, switch sides. Hold 2, 3, 4, 5. Release, other side. Hold 2, 3, 4, 5. And one more time, the other side. Hold 2, 3, 4, 5. And release. Take your hands back out to the top of the mat. And this time just start to lower the forearms, lower your forehead down towards the mat, or you can just rest it on a block or stack your fists. Take a nice deep breath here. And then press into the hands, lift the head again. Slide the hands back down, coming back into tabletop, and one more cat-cow. Or 2 more. Good. And then just bring your left foot up. Yep, coming up into a high lunge. So we're just in that kind of that kneeling position. Tuck the toes underneath the right foot. And then squeeze the right glute and bring the pelvis a little bit forward so you feel the stretch in the right hip here. Good. Press the left foot down and then just come into cactus arms. Inhale, reach up. Exhale. Come into cactus, just opening the chest, starting to move the arms a little bit more. One more time, inhale and exhale. Bring your hands down to your blocks. Keep the right toes tucked and lift that knee off the ground. Squeeze the glute. Good, reach back with the heel. So get a stretch in the bottom of that foot. Feel a stretch start to happen in the hamstring. And then slowly lean forward and drop that knee back down. So now you're in a nice long lunge. Good. Take maybe the top of the foot back down to the mat. Holding that long lunge. Adjust your blocks if you need to. Sometimes I find I need to go a little bit lower, so I need to take my blocks a little lower. Nice deep breath. Good. And then just bring that left knee back to the right knee, and then bring the right foot up. And tuck the left toes. Come up. Squeeze the left glute. Lean forward, stretching the front of the hip. And press the right foot down. Arms come into cactus. Inhale and exhale. Inhale and exhale. Squeeze the shoulder blades. Inhale and exhale. Hands come back down to the blocks. Lean forward. So your right knee comes over the right toes. Take the top of the left foot down to the mat. Stretch that psoas. Psoas, hip flexor. Nice deep breath here. Good. Now let's take the right knee back to the left knee again. You can move your blocks off to the side. Take your hands out to the front of the mat one more time. And then just shift forward. Bend the elbows and lower yourself onto the mat. So now you're on your belly. And let the forehead come to the mat. Your hands should land right by the breasts, or if not, adjust them so that they are. Good, and the elbows are up. First, let's come into Cobra, pressing the tops of the feet, squeezing the glutes, lift the kneecaps. Inhale, Cobra. Exhale, release. Inhale, Cobra. So starting to get a little bit of strength in that low back. Exhale, release. And inhale, Cobra. Exhale, release. Relax your arms, just bring them alongside of your body. Turn your head to one side or the other. And just relax the low back. Take a couple breaths here. So boat pose on the belly is our arms extended straight out. Sometimes we call this like a Superman or Superwoman pose. And you could bring your forehead to the mat. Let's do half boat pose first. We're going to squeeze our glutes, press the tops of the feet into the mat, and just lift up the upper half of the body. Head remains between the arms. Just look down at the mat. Coming into a half boat. And release. Turn your head to the other side. Take a few breaths. Bringing your forehead back to the mat. Relax the upper part of the body. Squeeze the glutes. Lift the kneecaps. And just lift both legs off the mat a few inches. Coming into the other half of the boat pose. And release. Turn your head to the other side. Relax. And then coming into a full boat pose, forehead to the mat. Engage the legs, squeezing the quads, the hamstrings, the glutes. Reach out with your arms, lift the head, lift the legs. Take a few breaths. And release. Draw the hands back by the breasts, palms down. Tuck the toes, press into the hands, lift the hips, and come back into a child's pose. And just relax the low back. You can rest your head on your hands if that feels better. And then slowly start to roll up, releasing that child's pose. Releasing boat pose. And then let's come to stand. Grab your blocks, the top of the mat. So that reverse boat pose, I guess we'll call that reverse boat pose. That really works the low back. You know, you have the glutes involved, the low back involved. It's not a very big movement, but it requires a lot of strength, especially in the low back, just like the Cobra. So the Cobra is a beautiful prep pose to really engage those back muscles. For the other boat pose that we're going to end with, it's more about the abs and it's more about center of balance on the hips. So it's a little bit trickier. Let's move through a few sun salutations before we get into that. So let's start at the top of our mat. We're just going to inhale and come into our upward salute, however you choose. Again, focusing on squeezing those glutes, feeling the heart open. Exhale and folding forward. Coming all the way down, feeling that nice stretch in your back. Take a moment here, move your head yes, like you're shaking it yes and shaking it no.
Feeling all the tension leave the neck. Inhale, slide the hands to the knees, squeeze the shoulder blades flat back. Exhale and fold again. From here, let's step back with the right foot and come into a warrior two pose. Good. And from our warrior two, let's move into extended angle. So we're going to feel that stretch along the whole side of the body. And then from extended angle, let's come right into a triangle. So straighten that front leg. Let that arm slide a little bit down, reach up into triangle pose. And then press into the feet, come all the way up and back into reverse triangle. And then come back into warrior two. Good, let's do that one more time. Starting in our warrior two, feeling a nice deep breath, connect your feet. Good. Extended angle. Come into that extended angle. Feel that nice lengthening along the right side. And then let that front leg start to straighten a bit, moving into triangle. Pressing into your feet, rise up and reverse it into reverse triangle. And then move back into warrior two. Take a breath in. And on your exhale, let's pivot back down. Let's either stay up in a high lunge or drop the right knee, whatever feels good, and just come into a lunge. High or low, knee on the ground or knee up, doesn't matter. And then exhale, let's bring our hands back down and step the back foot up to the top of the mat. And then either reach out or roll up back into mountain. Take a nice deep breath in and a deep breath out. And then inhale, come into your upward salute. And exhale and fold. Shake your head yes and no. Take a minute to feel that nice stretch down the back of the body. Inhale, slide the hands to the knees into a flat back. Exhale and fold. Step back with the left foot and come back into your warrior two. Take a moment, really feel the feet. Engage that back glute. And then exhale, come into extended angle. And then start to reach up with that arm, straighten the right leg, come into triangle. Press into your feet, arms come up, back arm comes down, reverse triangle. Back into warrior two. Take a nice breath here. And exhale, extended angle. Inhale, triangle. Exhale, reverse triangle. Back into our warrior two. And then once again, we're going to make that pivot and either high or low lunge. And exhale, let your hands come to the blocks or the mat and step up. Rolling up or reaching out, come back into mountain pose. And take a nice deep breath. And from the tops of our mats, inhale, come into upward salute. Exhale and softly fold. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale and fold. Let's step back into our plank. Knees could be on the ground.
and slowly lower. Press the tops of the feet into the mat, come into your cobra. Exhale, release the cobra. Press into the hands, tuck the toes, lift the hips up, come back into child's pose or down dog. And take a few breaths here. It's a nice place to regroup. Then we're going to take our left leg, we're going to reach it up high. If you're in down dog, maybe open the hip, bending the left knee in three-legged dog. And then bringing that knee, looking forward and stepping up into lunge. Right knee can drop to the ground, or you can keep it high. Exhale, hands back to the mat, and then step the right foot up. And roll up or reach out. Come back into mountain. Take a nice deep breath. And exhale. And inhale, upward salute. Exhale, fold. Inhale, flat back. Exhale, fold. Step back into your plank and slowly lower. Come into your cobra. Exhale from cobra, tuck the toes, press into the hands, lift the hips, and reach the hips back. Adjust the feet if you're coming into down dog, or just stay in child's pose. Bend the right knee, lift the leg, maybe open the right hip, three-legged dog. Look forward, bring that knee down, and come in to high or low lunge. Exhale, hands back to the mat, and step that back foot up. Press into the feet, roll up or reach out. Come back into Tadasana. Take a nice deep breath. And exhale. Good work. Now, before we get into our boat pose, let's just activate our Sea of Chi. So right below our belly button, Conception Vessel 6. We're just going to do a little tapping here. Nice deep breaths in. Deep breaths out. One more deep breath. Beautiful. Now let's come back onto our backs. So boat pose. Well, actually, if you want to sit, you can sit for a minute. If you want to lie down, that's fine too. So the boat pose, we're going to have different options for the boat pose. Like all of our poses, you can choose what feels good for your body. So we'll lie down for a moment and we'll keep our knees bent. Just to settle back into the mat, let go of that, our previous practice. And again, just observe what's going on in your body. Maybe you're breathing a little bit faster from moving in the vinyasa. So let your breath slow down a bit. Reconnect with the back of the body to the mat. So the boat pose is a balance pose. Even though we are seated, it requires some balance and it requires finding our center of gravity. So for each of us, that's going to be slightly different. I have a short body and long legs. So when I lift my legs up in the air, my body's going to upper body's going to want to compensate for that weight of my legs, that length and the weight of my legs. So the trick is in the pelvis, and
to find that center of gravity. You want to make sure you have some space behind you when you come into boat, just in case you, most likely you will have a tendency to fall back a little bit. So make sure you've got enough space behind you in case you come back, so you don't hit your head or you're in a safe space. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to bend our knees, place our heels into the mat. And then I just want you to grab the backs of your hamstrings and see if you can just sit up doing that motion. Yep, see if you can come all the way up. And if you can't come all the way up, then just come up to a seated position. Good. And then just hold the backs of the hamstring. Now bring your feet together and your knees together to start with. And I want you to look at my back. Okay, this is kind of roundy. This is nice and straight. I want you to try to have that nice straight back. So this can be your first option for boat pose. You can just hold here and then maybe lift one leg and maybe then lift the other. And just alternate lift and lift. And that will be your practice. Or maybe you can lift both. And that might be your boat pose. Maybe you can let go and reach your arms out. Maybe you can straighten your legs. Beautiful. Take a deep breath. One more. You got this. One more breath. Good. Now bend the knees, grab behind the thighs there, the hamstrings, lower your feet. Good. And then just roll back down. Let that go. Take a nice deep breath. Notice how that felt. How did it feel coming into that pose? How did you feel when you were holding the pose? And then let's see if we can do it again. So either sitting up or digging those heels in, grabbing behind the hamstrings and bringing yourself up. Good. Checking those shoulders, plugging them back. Feet are together. Maybe starting with lifting one leg and then the other. Taking your time, just observing how every movement feels. And then when you do come up into your version of boat, see how you feel. Take a couple of deep breaths. And then when you're ready, slowly release again. Stretch the legs out long, reach overhead. Give yourself a nice full body stretch. Let that go. Take a nice deep breath. And see if there's any other movements that you may want to make before coming into your Shavasana. And even while you were in that boat pose, if you had a bit of shaking, it's really nice just to observe that and just to know that your muscles are working. It's not that you can't hold it, just that you are vibrating in that pose. You can think of it as that, a nice vibration. So once you get settled into the back of your mat, doing any other movements that you need to make, take a few really deep cleansing breaths, maybe even exhaling with a big sigh. And just letting your body release, release, release.
And as you rest in your Shavasana, go back to that concept of observation, observing in stillness. Maybe really notice your space around you. Notice the sounds or the silence. Maybe you can hear the music. And then bring your observation closer to your body, around the body. Feel your body on your mat. Feel the weight of your head in the mat. Allow your shoulders to relax and sink a little bit lower into the mat. Observe your face. Are you holding tension in your brow? Can you relax your brow, your eyes, your jaw? Do you feel the breath as it passes in and out of your nose? Observe the rise and fall of your chest and your belly as you breathe in and breathe out. Observe your thoughts. What are you thinking about? Or perhaps you're thinking of nothing. Relax down the back into the low back, hips, pelvis. Relax down the arms to the fingertips and the legs to the toes. Feel a heaviness in your body and a lightness at the same time. If your mind wanders to thoughts or things, bring it back to the flow of the breath. Breathing in, breathing out. Start to let your breath become a bit deeper again. Start to draw your observation back to your body, noticing it lying on the mat, noticing your breath becoming deeper, feeling your arms and your legs, and maybe just starting to move slightly. And then in your own time, your own way. Start to begin to move, rolling to one side or the other, and then making your way to a comfortable seat. And then closing our practice, let's take a breath together. Inhaling, exhaling to the heart. Thank you for allowing me to guide you in your practice today. I hope you can take what you need off the mat and into the world. The light in me honors the light in you. Namaste.